This is page 76 of your math journal. We're going to call this one Writing Algebraic Expressions. Okay, if you'll recall, an algebraic expression is when you have variables, numbers, and operations. So what we're going to do is focus on turning real-life situations into variable expressions, but also I want you to be able to turn a variable expression into maybe a story problem of your own. So I want you to write these steps. Okay, so first, define a variable. Okay, what do I mean by that? Tell me what the variable represents. What the variable is, sorry, and what it represents. Tell what the variable is. And what it represents. Then second, match the operations and numbers to what's happening. Okay, so let's do some examples. So let's do example 1. So we're going to write some situations, and then we are going to write the expressions for it. Okay, so number 1, let's do, I have $20 and I spend some of it on candy. Okay, there's my statement. Now I want to turn this into math language. So how could I represent this? Okay, I want you to look through the wording and circle anything that might be important. Well, $20 is going to be useful. Most numbers will be. And I spend. Okay, what am I doing mathematically if I'm spending money? Okay, here it's being subtracted. How much am I subtracting from it? Sum. Anywhere you see something that gives you something like that, I want you to write a question mark. Okay, so that's the thing I don't know. So this is where I need to define my variable. So first define the variable. So if I'm going to define my variable here, then I want something to represent the sum. Sum of what? Sum of it on candy. So the money spent on candy is a variable. And what do I want to call it? This is where I can pick whatever letter out of the alphabet I want. But generally we pick something that, like C. So I'm going to say the money spent on candy is C. It could be M for money. It could be X just because you want to use X. It doesn't matter. However, you need to say what it is. So now that I'm talking about money spent on candy, I'm going to represent that with C. Now what happened? I had $20, so that's the beginning of the story. And then I spend some on candy. So the $20 is what I have to begin with. Then I minus the amount I spent on candy. So my expression would be 20 minus C. But that C means nothing to me unless I know what it represents, which is why we have to define the variable first. All right, let's try another one. So this will be example 2. Jane has 3 boxes of cookies with the same amount in each one. Okay, so circle what's important. We have 3 boxes. Boxes of cookies, that's going to be a group. So I'm going to write a little time sign up there. So 3 times the same amount of cookies in each one. However, okay, another clue for multiplying each. That's another sign that I'm going to be multiplying here. So I'm going to be multiplying 3 by something. Do I know that something? No, so I'm going to write a question mark here. I don't know what the amount of cookies is in each box. So first I need to define my variable. So if I define the variable, the part I don't know is the cookies in each box. So once again, I could call that C if I want to for cookies. In this case, I'm just going to call it B for box, but it doesn't matter as long as I know what that variable represents. I'm going to call it B. Okay, so I know that B represents the amount of cookies in each box. So now I can write my expression. So the expression would be 3 times B. However, I want you to get out of the habit of using the X for a time sign. So what are some other ways we could write it? We could write it as 3 times B with a dot. And one other thing I want you to get used to is you could also write it like this, 3B. This means multiplication, because I have 3 of these. Okay? Let's try another example. Ned bought some shirts and some pants. Pants cost $18 each. And shirts cost $13 each. Okay, if we're trying to write an expression to show how much he spent, let's look at what we have. We have some shirts and some pants, so I'm going to write question marks there. However, do we know if they're the same amount? No. So we have shirts and we have pants. So we're actually going to have 2 different variables here. So let's define our variables first. So let's do S. So we need to know shirts. And we need to know pants. So I'm just going to call shirts S and pants P. Alright, so pants cost $18 each. Okay, each is a sign that I'm going to be multiplying since I know what it is for one of them. It's not asking me to split it up or divide it. And shirts cost $13 each. Okay, that mathematically makes sense if I multiply there. So wouldn't I do the cost times the number of pants and the cost times the number of shirts? So our expression would be 13 times the number of shirts, because each shirt costs $13. What does and mean in math? Add. So when he's buying them, when you add the price for all the shirts plus the price of all the pants together. So I'm going to have to add that here. And then 18 times the number of pants. So 13 times the shirts plus 18 times the pants. Or another way we could write that would just be 13s. Remember how I told you that that meant multiply? So 13 times the number of shirts plus 18p, which would be 18 times the number of pants. Okay, let's try one more. All right, let's do Jane made three gift baskets with with apples and bananas. She used the same amount of apples in each basket and the same amount of bananas in each basket. So I'm trying to shorten this up. She used the same amount of apples and a different amount of bananas. Each basket had the same amount of fruit. Alright, so if I am looking at this, let's first find the things that we don't know. We know that she used the same amount of apples in each basket and a different amount of bananas in each basket. So, I should say amount, not amount. Amount, I put an N in there. Okay. So we don't know the number of apples, so I'm going to put a question mark there. And I also don't know how many bananas she used in each basket. However, I know that each basket had the same amount of each fruit. So, if I want to have the same amount in each, I have three different gift baskets. So these are groups here. Since I'm going to be having groups, that tells me I'm going to be doing multiplication. However, let's first define our variables. Okay. The amount of apples in a basket? I don't know. I don't know that one, so I'm just going to call it A. Okay, the other one I don't know is the amount of bananas per basket. space, I'm going to say that that's going to be B. So apples in each basket would be A. B would be bananas. I know I have apples and bananas put together in the basket. This is where you have to think. Each basket is a group. Well, what's in each group? This is where we're going to use grouping symbols. She put the apples and the bananas together, didn't she? So there's addition. But this would represent a basket. Well, how many baskets did she have? 3 of them. So 3 gift baskets. If this represents 1 basket, then 3 baskets would be 3 times that. So now you can kind of understand where these grouping symbols come from and why we use them. Okay, that is how you use statements to turn them into algebraic expressions.